The first half is over. The Twins are not at 500, but they are in second place. We look back at the final series before the break. We also check on the draft, plus the upcoming All-Star festivities. Your next move is to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every single day. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who was not drafted either for baseball or war, and is well into his second half of life already. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, who could probably compete pretty well in a media home run derby as long as Gladden and Morneau are exempt. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find all of our work at the Access Twins newsletter. Actually, you can find Brandon. And a Zone Coverage, the blog. On the podcast today, the Twins don't sweep the Pirates, but they do take 2 out of 3 again, heading into the All-Star break, so that's like 6 out of 9. We'll see how far out of the playoffs that gets him. Carlos Correa plays after missing Saturday because of the rude sliding attempt of Tommy Pham. Byron Buxton plays 2 a day after hitting for the cycle. We'll talk about that, plus the upcoming Home Run Derby and the All-Star game, both of which he'll participate in. Zebby Matthews had a really good rehab assignment. Will he need more, or will he at least get one more before the second half starts back up Friday in Colorado? It's a long time from now, Friday. The draft started Sunday night. We'll get into more details on that in a later show. But we want to at least introduce you to the Twins' first selection or 2. There's actually a couple interesting guys there. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On MLB as a code for $20 off your first purchase. That's Locked On MLB. It's a great code. So, Brandon, the Twins are done for the first half, finally. It was kind of a long time, too. We played a lot of games. They're, what are they, 47 and 49, something like that? It's not quite 500, but it's close. Mm-hmm. And close gets you possibly into the playoffs. Carlos Correa played. We were thinking maybe he wouldn't. We weren't sure if Buxton was going to play, but I think the Twins were really trying to win this game to be 500 going into the All-Star game. It would have looked good. It would have felt good. It didn't turn out to happen. Joan Duran gave up a run in the 9th, and the Twins could not score in the bottom half. What are you going to do with these guys? There's always something where it's like, it would just be perfect if the Twins could just win this one more game, then to be at 500, and we'd all feel good about ourselves. But do we not feel good about ourselves because they lost? I don't know.
Well, there's a story from 2011 where Carl Pavano pitched the Twins to their 63rd win of the season on the final day of the campaign. And it was well known because it was John Gordon's final game broadcasting and all this stuff. But anyway, we go into the clubhouse and Pavano had cut his facial hair into a mustache for the first time. Anyway, he goes, I don't want to say that we're happy about losing 99 this year, but it's a lot better than a bleeping 100. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that those individual losing 99, losing 100, 500 versus 200 matters that much, but the optics of it would have obviously been, or at least felt better as guys go to Cabo and wherever else. But it actually would have been, I looked it up. It would have been the first time in Twins history that they would have been exactly 500 at the break had they won. And it kind of fell apart on them a little bit in the 9th. You know, Duran, everybody talks about how he's not very good in save situations. I don't know that that's, or in non-save situations or when the game's tied. I don't know that that's entirely true, but he didn't pitch all that well. And the Twins had no margin for error. The offense really had trouble with Mitch Keller. And I guess, for as much as we made about, or at least I made about the Twins having their A bullpen ready, the Pirates basically the same. I mean, you saw Bednar in the 9th, and you saw Dennis Santana, who was a Twin for about a month a couple years ago in the offseason. And so it was a tough loss. Obviously you're going to lose games like this all the time. And so I'm not lamenting it too much. But I think going into the break at 500 would have, I guess I don't know that it would have mattered that much. It just would have felt nice to see them do that. But still, 6 wins on a 9-game homestand is pretty dang solid.
They've got the Rockies coming up second half to start the season on Friday. To start the second half of the season on Friday. So seems like another 2 out of 3 situation. They've won 2 out of 3 the last 3 series, and that ain't bad, as Meatloaf said in a song that I don't know if our listeners and viewers even remember.
I think they would. Yeah, this is Meatloaf country.
Oh, I could go for some Meatloaf anytime. So I guess it would have been nice to say coming out of the break, if the next game the Twins win, then they're over 500. So this how they've been playing though in the last 2 weeks or so has been encouraging, or at least it's not discouraging. I tend to feel really discouraged when the Twins get into a rut where they don't play well, especially because they're not already 10 or 20 games over 500. So it's like, well, all teams are going to get into a rut. But it seems like whenever the Twins get into a rut, they've driven off the road completely, and then they got to regroup. And I think they're 4 out of the wild card.
Yeah, the last one. Well, and the Tigers went into the break 4 under, or not 400, with 4 straight losses. But yeah, when you've built that cushion of 20 games over 500, yes, they are still convinced the sky is falling. Scott Harris needs to do this. Scott Harris needs to do that. But when you build that level of a cushion, they're up, 11, 12 games in the division. Yeah. You could probably still feel pretty good about that.
I don't necessarily. I could see some regression on the part of the Tigers. I had the feeling that the Guardians were going to regress all season last year, and it didn't happen until they had started the ALCS. So I was wrong about that. I don't get the feeling. It's not like I have any aspirations for the Twins to take the Central anymore. I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just thinking about them playing their best ball and getting into the playoffs, and they're still in a pretty good position to do that. There are some teams that have come along. The Blue Jays have gotten hot. The AL East in general has picked up, not necessarily the Yankees, but other teams in the AL East have kind of stuck their head up above ground and maybe are in this fight now. I don't know how much trouble is going to come from the AL West, and I don't feel good about the Royals. Really, I think they have way too many holes for the second half than they do. If Cole Reagans comes back, and they don't move Seth Lugo, and they have Waka and they have some other people. They have some pretty good pitching, but the Royals still fundamentally have problems fielding a roster that can score any runs. So I don't see a huge second half from them. I see them probably being around 500. So if the Twins could just get 5 to 8 games above 500, I think that will get them into the playoffs before it's over. It's not a huge ask. It's not a huge hole to dig out of. No. I think they're in a good place to do that. And I still don't think I see, Twins fans have spent the last couple of weeks on Twitter getting really mad at all the trade proposals that are going on. And, it's media led or fan led or whatever. And I saw somebody, I don't know if was it you, who castigated John Heyman for saying, "We're not going to be your farm team, buddy. Cut it out."
Yeah,
that was you. Okay. I get that. And I don't see the Twins selling. Short of a disaster here after the break, which certainly could happen, but I don't see that because, why would Falvey worry primarily about it's a risk reward thing? Yeah, he might be able to make some good trades for 3 years in the future. Is he going to be here 3 years in the future? He doesn't have any idea right now. He doesn't have any idea if new ownership is going to keep him or not.
Even a trade deadline where they did that and did well by most indications netted them Joan Duran, Jorge Alcala, some other prospects who didn't turn into much. Luke Raley, who they ended up flipping. He's been flipped around a bunch of times now. He's with the Mariners, spent time with the Dodgers, Rays, whatever. That was a good deadline, and they still did not have that much to show for it 4 years into the future, 5 years into the future, outside of Duran, which Duran's great, but traded Ryan Presley, traded Eduardo Escobar, traded Brian Dozier, traded Lance Lynn. Traded Zach Duke. They traded a lot of guys that year. Fernando Rodney, another one. If the alternative is winning 78 games or making a push to win 85 down the stretch and really pushing for that last wild card spot, I know which way I'm going. I'm sick of the idea that you need to flip and trade guys if you can't get the best possible version of your team. There's so many people out there that are convinced that you got to hit your 100th percentile outcome to make it to, let alone win the World Series. And all I can say is, like, the Braves won a World Series without Ronald Acuna Jr. And then who was the pitcher whose ankle blew up on him? Was it Soroka that they didn't have? They had Fried healthy, but they didn't have Soroka, or some combination too. You don't have to be in a perfect place. You don't have to come from a perfect place to get to the playoffs and do damage. You just have to get there. I believe the Twins can get there. I believe that they would need to win 85 games, though. And I think that's perfectly doable, but that's where they need to be.
It might take a few more than that. I don't know, but I would say that's the bottom end. Maybe 87, but we're talking about picking nits. Speaking of which, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the Twins and what's going on this season.
Our friends at Supply House want you to know that you can get your supplies that you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's right. That's Supply House. So whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. They have an easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And if you're one of those trade pros looking for an extra edge, they have a free Trade Master program that offers exclusive perks, such as a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies, easy for me to say, with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5, that's SamHorn5, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
We are back. Locked on Twins for Sunday, July 13th. 2025. The first half is over. The Twins are not. They're 47-49, but they do have the Rockies coming out of the break. Well, and then the Dodgers. Although the Dodgers have lost a bunch of games, but then they have Washington and then Boston, and then at Cleveland, and then Detroit. Actually, this is getting hard. So, and then the Royals. And then at the Yankees.
It's not a gauntlet. I mean, it's what you'd expect to have to get through to get to the playoffs. And it's the hole you dig that you have to dig out of. I mean, I don't know. It's always easy to say, if you don't like it, you should have played better.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, I don't like it, but I can't have played any better in this half. I didn't play at all. Carlos, I mean, dodged some bullets there at the end of the first half. Carlos Correa with the awkward Tommy Pham slide. Was that Friday or Saturday? These games, they all kind of run together.
That was Friday. He sat Saturday, Sunday. Yep.
That's right. So that was, I mean, in the moment, that looked like disaster. But as, I don't know if it was Greg or somebody mentioning how Correa's got all that metal in his, it's got liquid metal in his ankle. And it's like vibrating like a tuning fork. I thought that was a really funny and possibly apt analogy of what happens when that gets hit. So it was kind of a freaky moment for him, but he turned out to be okay. I mean, he's a tough guy. People don't give him credit for being a tough guy, but I think he is. I think he would have to be to endure some of the things that he has. So that's good. He did make a bad throw in the game today, I think it was. Cody Clemens ended up on his back and on a wild throw to first base. Unlike him, usually he makes those throws, but he didn't this time. Cody was okay, just a little jarred at first base. I think about Buxton getting hit on the wrist, and it's just weird how he's run into the fence a couple times chasing fly balls, and people go, "Oh no, here we go again." But it's like he's he's got adamantium or whatever it is. The guys who are the vulnerable, even guys like Buxton, just seem to have that extra gear of health this year that they didn't. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm happy, but it's nice to, they have some bad moments, but they come through them and they play the next day and they play fine. So I don't really think there is a Twins thing, a curse or whatever with injuries or a predisposition for it. It just kind of seems like it. And I think we should look at what the results this year and say, hey, these guys are tougher than we give them credit for.
You know how when you buy something that has batteries in it and it'll have like a little piece sticking out, when you yank that out, the battery goes into place and all of a sudden the light comes on or whatever. And they set it up that way so that you don't waste battery in transit or when it's sitting in the big box store. I think Byron Buxton's Plica, taking that out of him, was like getting him going, like, all right, now he's ready to roll and he's the best version of himself. And again, I mean, kidding aside, I always go back to that Paul Molitor, like, listen, kid, you might be more healthy in your 30s than your 20s. And if that's the case, there still might be a Hall of Famer in here. Frankly, it's not like, oh yeah, this is likely, or even maybe a 20% likely outcome, but the talent is very clearly there.
Well, you see what the statistics say at this point. Just the batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, where he ranks there, where he ranks on outfield defense. Maybe not as high as he has been in his career, but still very effective out there. You see the picture of Buxton after the cycle? I think it was. He had his shirt off, and he's got an 8-pack. I mean, they talk about 6-packs. There's 8 of those things. The guy keeps himself in amazing shape, or is in amazing shape, and then like works to keep himself in even greater shape. He's an incredible athlete. He's an incredible physical specimen. It never really made a whole lot of sense that he was injured all the time, because I know maybe they use different muscles for different things or whatever, but maybe you're right about this plica business, that removal. It does seem like ever since that was removed, that it's kind of opened a door for him. So if that's what it takes, some kind of removal of little pieces that you don't need. It's kind of like the appendix. All it can do is the appendix does something. I don't remember what it is. It's something
like catches toenails when you. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's not what I mean. But yeah, he's Byron Buxton's in great shape, and for any 31-year-old athlete. So despite all the things that he's been through, he's in a good spot to. I don't know about Hall of Fame. I'd have to look that up, but a run of a few All-Star seasons. That would be amazing if that happened. If he went back to the All-Star game in the next couple years after this one. So
I want to say he's closing in on 25 career Fangraphs WAR. I'm gonna look it up here just because I'm curious. But like 25 WAR by age 31, it's 26.0, and that's before including today. So maybe nudge him up another 0.1 if even that. But he's already above last year's mark, 3.8 this year, 3.7 last, and he was not he had 141 weighted runs created plus last year, and played center field. Like, it was not a bad year by any stretch of the imagination. So I just, you can't overstate how well he's played this year. And that's with Fangraphs not loving his defense that much. And I think that his defense has been exceptional. They've got him at 0.7 runs above average, which is not much, but even still, he's a 3.8 win player. That's incredible.
He's been amazing, and I think I would like to see. Yeah, we're just trying to get through this season, I guess. But
did you see? I'm sorry. Did you see the picture of him getting onto a chartered plane with Joe Ryan tonight?
Yeah, it reminded me of music videos of yore with the bands all dressed in white.
Did you see the shoes Byron Buxton was wearing? It looked like
I didn't look there.
It looked like he had co-opted TC Bear's feet in some sort of Greg Masterson ritual of cleansing. I don't know. It reminded me of, so the Twins had this an intro video in like 2018, and there was a meme going around where a guy goes, "What are those?" And then the old lady goes, "They are my Crocs." Well, Brian Dozier does that to Eduardo Escobar in the intro video. And that's what I was thinking with Buck, was like, dude, what are those? He looks like he's wearing bare feet. And I don't mean that he's not wearing shoes. It means he has the feet of a bear. Go check it out. It's at Twins. It's, once you see it, you won't unsee it.
What the thing that I wondered as soon as I saw that picture of them was, did the Polads give them money? Did the Polads do that jet?
No.
Is that a team jet?
Buck did it.
And then I thought, no, they wouldn't. He wouldn't do that.
They talked about it. So they were discussing it with. How did this come up? But anyway, Joe said that Buck told him, "Don't worry about it. I got you." So Buck would have chartered it. Yeah,
that's a whatever that contract is. I don't even know, but
that's a veteran move. That's a veteran.
That's a veteran move with a big $100+ million contract kind of move, because those things are not cheap. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he spent $15,000 to do something like that.
No, it could be light. I don't know. I'd like to find out, though. Maybe one of the reporters will get to it. But speaking of $15,000, we're gonna spend some money or get some money or something on this ad time that we're gonna do now, and then we're gonna come back and talk more Twins. More.
Have you ever decided at the last minute you wanted to head to a ball game with your friends or your family? Like, if it's game day and you're near the ballpark, suddenly want to just go hang out, and you're not like Dave Brown with one of those cards that'll get you into all the games. Hey, that's exactly, though, where Game Time comes in for average folks like you and me. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And with the money that you save on tickets, you can invite a bigger crowd. You can spend more on food, more on drink, more on merchandise, more on anything that you can find in the ballpark that is worth your time and money. Game Time will make that possible for you. Game Time makes buying tickets fast, not only fast, but also simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. You can get some incredible last-minute deals. You can get clear seat views. I love the panoramic seat view. So I know that if I'm looking at home plate or center ice or the middle of the 50-yard line, if I know where I'm at, what I'm looking at, I love to know before I set foot in the venue exactly what my sight lines are going to look like. And of course, toggle that all in pricing, and you will know exactly what you're going to pay from the beginning of the transaction to the end of the transaction. I love that level of transparency. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Locked On Twins has returned for our final segment. So the last one before, it's not the last show before the All-Star break, but it's the first show to recap what happened in the first half. I don't know. We're going to have a show where we sort of look back at the whole first half and grade it out. We're going to have a show where we sort of look ahead later in the week to what we think the second half will look like. And we'll have a bunch of other shows. Byron Buxton is at the Home Run Derby, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit more about the draft, which we should probably talk about now a little. Just kind of mention who was taken by the Twins. They've made a few selections. The first 3 rounds of tonight, their first pick was a shortstop, and it was funny how people were getting upset about this. Marek Houston from Wake Forest, and this is what MLB.com says. We'll just read this. Of all the potential first-round picks from the college shortstop crop, Houston is the one who most definitely is going to play the premium position at the highest level. So he's a plus defender with excellent actions and arm strength. I love scout talk. His glove is ahead of his bat, but he's added some strength that could have impact at the plate. The Twins have taken a hitter with their first pick in the last 4 drafts now, each of them hailing from the college ranks. So last year they took Kalen Culpepper, and I don't know what Kalen's long-term – is Kalen a shortstop? Is he a center fielder? Is he a third baseman? Right. Here's the thing, though, about these shortstops. People are like, why are they taking a shortstop? They don't have anybody to catch. They don't have anybody to play first base. Well, you take a shortstop because they tend to be the most athletic person on the field at the time. Some catchers might differ. Some center fielders might differ. But they can be moved to different parts of the infield, the outfield, whatever. So
people say, hey, what about Royce Lewis at first base? Boom. There you go. Like that is, maybe it'll keep him healthier. That's where first basemen come from. It's very rare you have a first baseman who's a first base prospect from stem to stern. It's, this guy's athletic or he's got a bat. We'll see where we can stick him, and first base ends up being it. But it's, catchers, shortstop, center field, pitcher. That's pretty much it.
Ty France came into the league as kind of a second baseman. That's a little bit of a misleading misnomer, but he did play a lot there early in his career. It's kind of funny to imagine now. But
I can't even imagine it. And it wasn't
5 years ago, it's what happened. But so that's a guy. And they also took Quentin Young later, I believe the 54th overall pick. They also had
Yep. I'm excited about that one.
It's fun because Quentin Young is the nephew of Dimitri and Delman Young. So
he's not the son of either of the big league brothers. He's someone else's son.
He's another brother's son, aren't we all?
Other brother, so, Daryl Young, my other brother Daryl.
Yes. So that's fun. He's like a really tall, raw power, 6'6" shortstop. Another guy who's a shortstop. I bet he doesn't play shortstop eventually, but we'll see if he can make enough contact and hit for enough power. And it's fun to have a Delman Young, not offspring, but relation back in the organization. Those were fun. He was a piece of work, Delman. Dimitri was more of that's the kind of guy, that you'd want as like an uncle, a jokester, a funny man.
Seemed like he was pretty gregarious.
Yes, he was.
And Delman was more brooding and
right. People that it's funny how parents can have like a couple of kids, 2, 3, 4 kids, and they're all different. It's they're not the same person. So hopefully Quentin will take after Dimitri a little bit more in the personality area. And if he's more of an athlete like Delman, I guess that's good. So I love Dimitri, though. He's a funny guy. He also lost a lot of weight and I think made it stick for a long time. I haven't seen him lately, but he really slimmed down and he needed to for his health.
I think he had diabetes or something.
Yeah,
that they were really worried about.
That's part of it. So that's one of the things that I really like about just joining kind of the Twins media in the last couple of years is following the kids in the minor leagues. The Twins have a lot of good writers for these things, and the Twins are in a good spot right now as far as interesting prospects to bring up. Not only the people at the top with the pedigrees that we're going to see hopefully soon in the big leagues, but also some depth. It's fun to follow people like J.D. Cameron and other people who are really following the prospects closely, and that's kind of where I get my information. So that's what's going. The draft is going on the first 3 rounds, and those are 2 of the guys the Twins have brought in. We'll talk more about them in a future show.
Yeah, and they got a pitcher named Quick from Alabama. So don't be fast, be quick, right? Is that what it is? I like to say that.
Okay.
Don't
I'll go for either. I'll go for either.
Fast. Quick means you have a purpose.
Zebby Matthews had a great overcharged. He was like over his velocities, all like ready to go. They've really taken their time with him, but I guess when you're talking about a sore shoulder, you don't want to jump too quickly. But it's possible he might need another rehab assignment. I don't know what the Twins' rotation plans are coming out of the break, like where Zebby fits in.
Right.
If he's having a rehab assignment this weekend, is he going to need another one on Friday because his first start is going to be like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week? I don't know.
Yeah. And the Saints are off. I don't know the rest of the affiliates. Like, you had him start at St. Paul. Would it make sense to run him to Fort Myers and then back up to the majors? I don't know the answer to that because I don't know when all the, with Futures game being an all-star game of sorts, and you've got the all-star games for each level, I don't know who's off when. I just know that St. Paul is also off. So if he does need another one, it does kind of come at a weird time where, there's nothing going on for the next 5 days at AAA or in the major leagues.
They could, if they want to wait until Friday, they could do like a simulated game when the gang's all together in Denver. They could do that too, of course. Yeah. That might be what they do, actually. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see
it. But, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this show. But before we leave, we want to tell you something very important. And that is we want to thank you. And that is for making Locked On Twins your first listen. For your second listen, please check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, which brings you every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Brandon Warne, I'm Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening. Saying we will Alexei to see you tomorrow night.